Hi, everyone. This is the Auburn School Committee for September 2025. I'm going to call this meeting to order. It is being, this meeting of the Town of Auburn School Committee is being conducted in person and is being recorded by Auburn Cable Television. All are welcome to join us in person at 5 West Street. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of this body are available on the town's website. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. Thank you. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The vision of the Auburn Public Schools is to educate and prepare students for the opportunities and challenges of a changing world. Our commitment: we will create, maintain, and support an environment that fosters a sense of belonging for all students in our schools, respecting race, color, sex, religion, national origin, sexual orientation, gender identity, homelessness, poverty, spoken language, and ability.
All right, thank you. Anyone here for citizens' comments tonight? Well, seeing none, we'll move on to special recognitions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So as has become our tradition, this evening we're going to recognize some new staff that are new to us here in Auburn. They've been hired for the 25-26 school year, and we are thrilled with these professionals to have them join our team. And so I'm going to just introduce, I appreciate the administrators that are here this evening, Ms. Beverly, Ms. Carlson, Dr. Lopez, Mr. DeLongchamp. And we have some new ones to introduce. So we have Allison Marrier, who will be in special education at Bryn Mawr and Swiss. Allison is here tonight. Welcome, Allison. Chris Plusinski Taylor will be math at Auburn High School, along with Keith Nevins, who will also be math at Auburn High School. We have Kate Kulissis, grade 1 at Packagug. There's Kate. Welcome. Laura Kenny, special education at Swanson Road. Hi, Laura. Marcus Brown will be joining us in band at Swanson Road. Natalie Davis, art at Swanson Road, and Sarah Scrable will be a speech and language pathologist for Swanson Road and Auburn High School. I'd also like to welcome the following administrators. So Greg Walton, who you know was previously our Director of Pupil Services, is now the Assistant Principal at Auburn High School. Kerry Cox is here this evening with us. She's our new Director of Pupil Services, and she has jumped in with both feet. And Kevin Bigelow, as well, is the new Athletic Director for the Auburn Public Schools. So we are thrilled to have them all. They are already having a positive impact on our students and our community, and we know it's going to be a great school year.
Great. Yeah, welcome aboard. Happy to have you guys.
Welcome.
Okay, any questions or comments for our newbies? Welcome. You've joined a great district, so I hope you guys have a great year here, and we're excited to have you for sure.
So we appreciate you coming, and you are free to go. Unless you want to stay for the rest of the entertainment.
Run.
Yeah.
I mean,
Thanks, everyone. Have a great school year.
It is riveting.
See you soon.
Coming.
Thank you.
If you stay.
they just want a bonus.
Thank you.
Bring the gold stars next night.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Okay, so we'll move on to minutes, and there are none to approve. So we have no student reps yet. Do we have an update on that? by
We
chance?
don't.
No.
Yeah. Nothing yet.
Nothing yet. All right. We'll move on to the superintendent's report.
Great. So we'll start just with a little information about the school year opening. We've had, like any school year, there are a few little glitches here and there, but overall it has been fantastic. I think the one biggest thing that we were all kind of holding our breath about was the whole cell phone switch. It has gone very well at Auburn High School thus far, with just a very few offenses, nothing major, a few earbuds here and there. They did notice a big change in the cafeteria at lunchtime, where there was a lot more noise, a lot more chatter, a lot of kids talking. So I think that's a positive thing. Checked with Auburn Middle School, absolutely nothing for issues there, and same thing at Swanson Road. So, all good things. So I will be reaching out to several of the people who are on the cell phone committee with me. As we promised, we'll do 3 surveys throughout the school year. So I'm thinking maybe the end of October, then again January and the end of the year. So I'll get some input, and then we'll also run the questions by you before they go out. So we can gather some information from families and kids and staff with how it's going and how we can make it work. So, great start there. As you know, we're going to talk about this again a little bit later order, but we did have we have some major damage happening right now in the Swanson Road parking lot. It's got something to do with, there's like a big vestibule underneath there, like a big, I don't even know what you call it. But there's a broken pipe. And so it's causing some sinkholes in the middle of the parking lot, but we've gotten some quotes. It's had to go out to bid because it's a very big job. And we're hoping, we're going to talk about that in a few minutes, how we're going to finance this, but it does have to be fixed. So we've worked with the town through our CIP, and we think we can make that happen. So we're excited that the bids are in, and hopefully the repair can come soon. And I was at Bryn Mawr yesterday. They have a new, most of their kitchen is brand new. They've opened up the serving line. I was going to take some pictures, but they're like, don't take pictures. We don't have everything perfectly put away yet. So at some point I'll bring those. But it looks fantastic. So it's the serving line is open to the hallway now. So the kids used to have to go into that little area and come back out. They just stay right in the hallway, go into the cafeteria. Beautiful serving line, beautiful new freezer and refrigerator behind there. It opened the whole thing up. So, that looks great. And Packagug had a number of classroom moves this summer. So each of the grade levels are now in the same area together. So they're happy about that. So yeah, and 100 other things with carpeting and flooring and repairs that have taken place. But yeah, so schools are in great shape.
Through the chair, just a quick question. Can we just add some questions about lockers? I would say that's the one thing I've been hearing some scuttlebutt about, kids not having enough time in between classes, and forgetting stuff in their lockers. And a lot of kids aren't using the locks, so they're leaving their valuables, because they're having trouble obviously getting in. So if we could just add some questions on that, that would be great.
Through the chair, that seems to be a common middle school problem.
Especially day 4.
Yeah,
right?
Especially day 4, but like
Yeah.
a lot, it's not only at AMS, it's everywhere. It's not, they leave their stuff in, they don't lock it.
Yeah,
But we just don't want to have like stuff stolen out of the lockers and stuff.
Yeah.
but I wouldn't want to make them use it either.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sure it'll get better.
Wait.
All right, and the sinkhole thing with the parking lot, like how many spots are eaten up by that? Did we lose a lot of
I think it's a
parking?
dozen.
We have. I was going to say 10 or 12.
Yeah.
It's the main, it's the whole central spot of right in the middle of the parking lot closest to the
Yeah,
road.
like dead center.
Oh my
But I
gosh.
would tell, but they don't, so there is another same system to one side of that, but they think that one's fine. They don't see any issues with that. And it is going to be probably a 3-week project once they get going, and that whole parking lot will have to be closed off.
Oh my gosh.
Because they'll have heavy equipment. They have to rip the whole thing up. So Dr. Lopez has already been working on a plan. They're going to have to use the parking over at Bryn Mawr, the extra parking that's down at the end of the lot. Perhaps some of the parking on the grass if they can figure that out, but she's been working on that too. But it's not something that we can, that was one of my questions. Can we wait and do it next summer? But we really can't.
I think it's getting worse.
So that was my
the engineer was there. They've not seen any market changes since they started this. So there's no concern about any kind of collapse or anything like that. They've refilled underneath it because they had to do some test digging to see exactly what was happening. And so when they did that, they did some additional fill underneath there. So there's no concern that way, but it's not something that you want to leave like through a winter when now you have snow and ice and all those kind of things that can cause problems.
Yeah.
through the chair in the spring. I know that maybe one parking spot was infected. Was it bigger than I thought
Yeah.
in the spring? Oh, okay. So it just hasn't gotten any bigger or worse.
Well, there's definitely more than one parking spot.
It could have not counted.
It was one spot.
but
like,
I'm
in the
not-
spring, they put like a cone in one spot.
Yeah.
And it's spread.
And then by the summer, it was like larger. And then I think when they dug it up, they filled in more, and that's why it took over
Gotcha.
more spots.
And
It just keeps
there were a
progressing.
number of failed areas.
Yeah.
There were a
it's
number of
big,
areas.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And in order to test, they would have to open it up a little bit
They had to
further
open it up,
Gotcha.
right?
test.
Yeah.
So we'll have police detail, I assume, during that time, because I'm thinking drop off and pick up is going to be a nightmare over there.
Well, they go to the.
They don't use that lot for drop off and pickup. They use the
okay.
back lot. So the process for how they pick up won't be impacted.
Okay.
This won't impact the buses because the buses use the main driveway.
Yeah.
This is just primarily teaching staff
Okay.
that park in that lot.
Okay. All right. Good. I was thinking it was the lot closest to the street.
Yeah. The only thing they are working on now is that's where we do have, I think, 3 or 4 handicap spots. So we're going to have to figure out something for that. but I don't know if we can reserve some in that other lot
Okay.
for handicap. But really, other than that, I think we're going to be okay.
All
And
right.
it will be an inconvenience. There's no
Yeah.
doubt. No one's saying it's going to be easy, but
only a couple
it's just not something we don't want to wait through the winter with.
All right. Sounds good. Okay.
All right. The next item is just an enrollment update as we stand today. Well, August 28th is when I ran these totals. And I left a few historical years, 23, 24, 24, 25, and 25, 26. So we are down a number of students again, which has been a historical trend across the state. I'm not exactly sure what the explanation is and where the kids are going, but enrollment across the state is down. We've had a large number of registrations, probably close to 150 maybe, but we also had a number, about 70 something withdrawals, and then we have kids that go to Bay Path and all that stuff that gets put into the mix. So, so we'll get a more formal report for the October, once we get to the October 1st date, but this was just to give you an idea of where we are for enrollment at this time.
Sounds good.
And on the same theme, right in your agenda, you'll see the Satellite and Galaxy enrollment. So in total, we have 250 students participating in that program, which is, again, a great program. It's reasonably priced for families, and a lot of folks take advantage of it. We don't have anyone on a waiting list either, which sometimes this time of year we do, so that's a good thing. The next item is just information. I have met with the chief of police and several of his staff, along with the fire chief. We've submitted to them copies of all and reviewed our multi-hazard plans. Those are plans that cover a variety of responses. This has been put together by the district safety team for a number of years. It talks about what to do in the case of a bomb threat. What kind of materials do we need available if we have to evacuate the building? Who can evacuate a building, all of those kind of things, along with where our evacuation sites are for each building. I don't include copies here for you. Those aren't things we necessarily want to be fully public, but to let you know that we did meet, we all sign off on them. They have electronic copies of all of that. It also includes in it a list of any students with significant special needs and where they could potentially be most likely in a building should they need assistance in evacuating. So it covers a wide range of things, including our ALICE protocol. So I appreciate the continued collaboration with both chiefs. We do have a new Chief Mills for the police department. He's been fantastic. We've collaborated with him for a long time already. So, yes, happy to say that those are done and I appreciate the efforts of the administrators to put those together for each building.
All right.
In your packet, you will have a draft of my potential performance goals for this school year. The first one is a student learning goal. We're really focusing, or I'm hoping to focus primarily along with Mr. Keller and Ms. Cox at the middle school and high school to create a more formalized data analysis protocol. It's a little bit more challenging sometimes at high schools because, right, all the coursework is different and they used to rely heavily on MCAS. Now we're not really going to have MCAS. So it's a process of really building this in. And we did purchase iReady, the iReady diagnostic test through grade 8. And we're also looking to potentially bring it in for grades 9 and 10 in the areas of ELA and math, which would give us some standardized testing to look at, which will be a little bit harder to find at the high school level now that MCAS isn't as, it's going to be harder to motivate kids, I think, at the high school level to take it seriously. So I'll be working with Alan and the secondary principals to kind of make a plan for that. What's the data we're looking at? And then to say, what do we do with it and how do we help kids?
Because that threat isn't there anymore of not being
Correct.
able to graduate. So-
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And I will say that at the elementary level, this is something we've had in place for a long time. And it's it's a bit more cut and dry, I would say, maybe at elementary, right? Because Dibbles has been around for a long time, so we've always had that. iReady came in a number of years ago for the elementary, so we've had that for a bit, and we had the training to kind of develop those meetings. That hasn't happened so much at the middle school and high school. So, yeah, we're excited about it, actually. I think it's going to be great.
I mean, is there some kind of other carrot you can dangle? Like maybe they have to do extra summer work or something if they're not passing these tests?
So that's a really big question, right? Because then it ties to graduation requirements and program of study and what assessments are we, and you can't, what we want to do is build a system that supports kids learning, not looking at it like if you don't really take this seriously, you're in trouble kind of thing. We want to look at it that we're making the best use of what we know about kids to design what they need to do next, right? From that kind of learning standpoint. And I think if we do that, I think, the MCAS was always like that 1 day data point anyway, right? But it was all we had. So that's what everybody kind of hung their hats on. But I think this move toward really firming up, what are we looking more critically at all of our assessments, not just bringing in standardized ones, but the formative ones, the end of tests kind of things. Because really what it's about isn't about the score or how the kids, it's what do they know, right? What do we know that they know and what have they mastered? So it really is building a bigger system, I think.
And through the chair, iReady has something called My Path, which it meets the kids where they're at. So if you have a kid that is reading Jane Austen and a kid who cannot even grasp that, it's going to meet them where they're at. It's going to push them to a different level. Whereas, the MCAS, for example, like it was like, as Dr. Chamberlain said, like a 1 day point. This can consistently grow with them. So they can, they can have their own. So what one child is reading is going to be different from another, but they're each going to be trying to attempt to get to that goal. So instead of like I gotcha, like, oh, you didn't do it, you're not working hard, let's see how we can penalize you. This is actually going to say like, well, you didn't do well, so like let's work on getting you to that level. So it's
It also
less,
it puts a lot of emphasis on growth versus where you end, right? It's how much did you grow from where you started.
It's very like positive. Like
Yeah.
even when I look at the iReady stuff, even for my middle schooler, I'm like, oh my God, look how much you grew. So they don't ever talk about like, they say like, this is where you should be in this blue shaded area, but the blue shaded area is like this big.
Yeah.
So you can be at the bottom, you can be at the top, you can be somewhere in the middle, and it's okay. But as long as you're making growth, that's like the most important piece.
Okay.
The next one is a professional practice goal, which is around reflection on practice. So we're going to be talking a lot during principal meetings about reflection on practice and that of their teachers and how we have more productive dialogue around teaching and learning. Because we all try to measure ourselves all the time versus like, well, maybe I can just do something different and it's going to be better, rather than either this is how I've always done it or the kids do fine with this, I don't need to change, right? So that whole idea of reflective practice. And it ties somewhat to the next two. This second one, this district improvement goal around cultural proficiency, this is very similar to what I had last year as well, because this is something that we've only really started our journey around cultural proficiency and competency. At my opening remarks with the staff, I talked about, right, we all need to be open and accepting and learning and listening to kids. But what we also can do very easily is that if we see something that we know is wrong, someone being bothered because of their race or their hair or their clothes or their accent or, the color of their skin, we can be the model to interrupt that behavior, right? And I think those are the moments then that we need to talk through with, like, well, why did that happen? Why is that a thing? Why would a child say that to another child? What kind of education do we need to bring in? So that's going to tie to those conversations that we have on reflective practice. But I think I was pretty clear with staff that the expectation is, because what I said to them was, if we don't interrupt the behavior, we are in essence condoning the behavior, right? And it's giving that offender the right to continue to do whatever they're doing. And so if we at least take that step, and I said, if that you interrupted and then you need help because you're not sure how to handle it, that's what we're all here for, right? Those are the conversations we have. So, yeah. And again, further, the second district improvement goal is related to teaching and the evaluation process for teachers. So last year, we all went through some additional training around giving good feedback. I think now this year, the idea is I'm going to be monitoring the feedback to some degree that principals are giving, and we're going to talk about it, like, how did that go? How did the teacher take it? What could we have said differently? How could we have approached it differently? Because we really need to open up that conversation between administrators and teachers. Again, continuous improvement and how we can always get better. So if there are any other areas that you think are important that I should add or change, I am more than happy to do that as well.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Dr. Chamberlain?
Through the chair, those are going to be some difficult conversations. I did a course way back in the day, and it was through UMass. It was called How to Have a Crucial Conversation. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. It was a whole series. And I feel like that would tie in, and it's free. UMass Medical School does it for all their students and their faculty. And it's like how you put meaning into, having a conversation that you don't want to have. Like, you don't want to be here, but we have to be here. How do we handle and put meaning and get something out of it? It was fabulous. And I think it's only like 2 hours.
Yeah. So some of the training that we went through last year, so every 3 weeks we had an online session with Kim Marshall, who's great.
Yeah.
And some of what he talks about is just that. Like, how do you give praise in an appropriate way so that you're praising, right? And then on the flip side, how do you give that kind of critical feedback when that needs to happen, but in the sense you want the person to do better, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So we did talk a lot about that last year in that
I can get the link if you guys want to even look at it, because it is free.
Sure.
I enjoyed it. Of course, everything is with the instructor that you had, and he was 100%,
Yeah.
10 out of 10, right? But like just the simple things that you don't think about, like, well, you're talking and I'm trying to like have this, like, I want to have my, and then you turn off and you're like, yep, sure. And then you're like, okay, now we've stopped. There's no more meaning here. How do we put the meaning back in?
Right.
It was just how to break it down and dive in to the hardest things that you're doing,
Sure.
So,
Yeah. If you could send that along.
yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Just one comment with your goal number 1 here and the reflection on the isms and everything. I'm relieved that we are continuing this thread through our curriculum and teachings. I feel like the world is turning in the opposite direction, and I'm glad that we're still paddling in the right direction.
Agreed.
Equality and equity and inclusion. So,
Kids need it.
yes, definitely.
They deserve it.
All right.
So you need to accept my goals.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to accept the superintendent goal for the 2025-2026 school year as presented.
Second.
Hey, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
The next item is up for discussion around the school committee meeting time. There had been some conversation about potentially moving the meetings to 5:30 from the current time of 6 p.m. But I put it to the committee if there's an interest and a desire to do that.
So, yeah, I think you had mentioned potentially struggling.
So I would be coming in hot, if you will, which I normally do anyway. So, 30 minutes I don't think is a huge, we just got to reshuffle the deck a little bit. It's because everything is on Wednesday in my life, all of the things.
Yeah.
So, I'm down for, I couldn't do 5, but 5:30 I think is something that's feasible as long as we don't mind if I am
Come in a little sweaty and hot.
fashionably on time.
Like sneak in behind the desk.
Yes.
And if it's a real struggle down the road, it's a half hour. We can shift it back or whatever.
Through the chair, my one concern is it seems, as you said, Wednesdays seem to be like a crazy day, but is there a way that we can kind of, like, the school should be aware of our calendar, and yet, we have three elementaries, like one lower, one upper, and then we have 2 middle school parents on the committee. Is there a way that we can kind of ask the principals to try to avoid school committee days?
Been there, done that.
It's very hard.
Did it again when I met with them. So we have a district calendar. There was some confusion about calendars. We've straightened that out. And all of our meetings are in that calendar. And we specifically talked about it at the principal meetings to say, that's why we have this calendar, is so that there aren't these conflicts.
I understand like a cancellation for like a snow, like I
Yes.
get that.
Yeah.
Like,
No, but
fine,
we have asked them.
There's days where, and I also feel bad because there was the thing at Swanson Road today. So, both Dr. Lopez and I are like running over here, we're trying. So just if they could be mindful a little bit.
Yep.
I think if we know, yeah, like if we know what's going on too, I think we also accommodate, like if there was the band, we would just like, let's come in, let's get right to it. I think that there's an understanding.
Yeah.
And there's a flex because life is flex,
Yeah, just it's sometimes hard. Sometimes if there's like parent teacher conferences one time on the same night as school committee, it's like the only time I could get was, I'm like, well, I don't want to have to pick and choose because
No, nor should you have to. I agree.
I want to be
completely
here every
agree.
time, but also at the same time, like I want to be there for my children. So
Yep. Yep.
so if we could just be like, a little reminder.
so it's the children, right?
Yeah.
So we're here for the kids, yeah.
Just through the chair, one of those exceptions would be athletics.
Yeah.
Because that is multiple districts.
No, I'm not
So-
talking about that. I'm talking about like
No, I just wanted to just
band
put that out there.
concert,
No, I-
parents' night, things like. And the high school, like none of us have high school kids right now, so it's totally.
I
fine.
know, but I just putting that out there.
You're not changing the football schedule.
No, we're not changing the football schedule. That's
Soccer,
totally fine.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is. But I will say that Dr. Chamberlain has asked many
Yeah.
times, and it's challenging.
It's a
to-
hard, there's
it
a
is
lot of
challenging.
moving parts.
There's a lot
Whatever
that
day
they're
it is,
trying to do.
it is what it is,
Even if we moved the day, then it would be something else, I think.
And we've
So.
always accommodated, like
Wasn't
last
really-
year, the band concert, we were like, can we meet an hour earlier?
Yes.
I think
they'll be
Wednesday is
special.
a really nice day, and coming early, we're gonna love this when we budget, because then we don't have to be here until 9 o'clock. So like, I think I am 100% for it for that, because being here and going through 333,675,908 is a long day, and 5:30, maybe 7:30, we could be out, Like that to me, I'm like, all
It
right.
gets these guys home a half hour early, which
Long day.
And the principals too, when they come for all those meetings, which those are the long ones. like you
Right.
pointed
And
out.
but there's no way around it, and you just have to
Yeah.
do it, and it is the job that you signed up for.
Yeah.
Right. That I was elected to. I don't know what. No, just kidding. But I'm okay with the 5:30. We just make it work.
all right. And I think Brooke said she was on board too. So
Yeah, I think she said that was okay, and I can pledge of allegiance in the hallway. So
I'll make a motion to move the start time to the school committee meeting to 5:30 p.m. from the current 6 p.m. time.
I will gladly second.
okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now you have to remind me because I'll be late. So whew.
I was in the parking lot at 5:30 today.
Yeah, see, you were ahead of the game.
5:35. So that's okay. We're good.
Okay, so 5:30, that works. All right. All right, we'll turn it over to Mr. Keller for the teaching and learning report.
Oh, we have the food policy update.
Oh, geez, I'm sorry. Yeah, I
That's
skipped right
okay.
over
So I
that.
am going to ask Mrs. Stanek if anyone has any questions. I don't know if you had a time to read through it. I will tell you that we have folks that are chomping at the bit to do some fundraising, whether it's our teams or whoever they are, at this point. But in talking with Mrs. Stanek, we really needed to tighten up some processes about to make sure that we're not overwhelming our community with the number of fundraisers, that we're not overwhelming certain students, asking them to do fundraising. And so these policies are an attempt to kind of rein that all in a little bit and to track it. So there, it does build in an approval process that any fundraising has to be approved first by the by the principal, and then by the superintendent. So I don't know if anyone had any chance to read them, and if not, we'll certainly go to a second read, but we are hoping to, in fairly short time, get these approved for folks to get started on, so.
So I did.
Yep.
I did through the chair. And there was one that kind of made me a little, why do we have this? And it was something about door-to-door sales and safety concerns. So 100%, like a little bell went off, and I was like, why is this? Do we do this? I've never.
We don't. So that was part of some of that was part of the previous,
Okay.
the policy that's been in place. But as you know, in the organization you work in, sometimes you have to state the obvious to make
Okay.
sure that there's not a question about it. We haven't had any problem, but I will tell you, there's another line in there about near streets.
Right.
we did have that.
Examples of,
We
okay.
did have that. So
Okay.
that's why that's been added in. But no, we've not, that whole door-to-door thing, but you know what? We have to state it, because if it isn't there and then someone does it, they're going to say, well, it wasn't there.
Right. Okay. So that kind of made me like concerned. I don't know if am looking for more verbiage or what. I will read it again a little more in depth where I can think about it.
Sure.
That was a concern. And then the other thing that I didn't see, and again, I did just briefly kind of
Yep.
like get through this, is there going to be an option for students, like, how do I say this? Is there an amount that every student has to raise and they could just pay that instead of doing any of the fundraising? So let's say the seniors, each student for field day or this field trip needs to fundraise $50.
Yep.
And the parents would rather just write you a check
Yep.
for the 50 instead of selling the wrapping paper or the peanuts or the whatever.
So that I think I'm going to have to do a little bit of checking, because I'm not aware of any fundraisers where we say you have to raise so much money. It's typically you raise what you can. And then in some cases, like, so for some of the trips that we've had, right, they've done some fundraisers for the, like, the
So
trip
not
to
for
Europe.
those, but I'm just saying for like the stuff that every student, all 100% of them are invited to and allowed to, you know.
Usually PTO, isn't it?
I think typically.
Right, but that's only for the little kids. They don't have PTO for high school or middle school.
Yeah, they have
Right.
ARC Junior for the middle school.
They have a PTO for most.
But I don't know that they ever say you have to raise this. And I know going way back, I used to do just that with my kids because I didn't like fundraisers. So I'd be like, here you go.
I didn't know if that was going to
I'm not
be
doing it.
an option. Like if you knew like the end of the year fun field trips to Hanover or to whatever Six Flags, whatever they do, if there was like an amount or an approximate amount where the families that don't want to do the things can still participate and make sure that their kid can.
Yeah, I just don't know if that's, and you can jump in, Jen, but I don't know that we approach it that way.
I don't believe that we've approached it that way, and not in my experience here with the Auburn Public Schools as a principal either. The other piece is that wasn't stated really in the MASC policy. I think that would be more whoever is the group representative of the fundraising, that we would just encourage them to, you know, allow in-kind donations as opposed to having to do the fundraising.
I just know for me, I am that parent
Oh,
where
I
I'd be
was
like,
too, yeah.
you know,
No, I
like
totally
if
get that.
but I want to participate. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't want to just be like, well, I'm not doing that. Like, do you know what I mean? But like, is $25 enough? Is $50 enough? Like, what is the monetary amount that I can feel satisfied that I've participated, right? So where you're like, I don't want to fundraise, and then you've got the whatever. Sometimes, I mean, some of these kids, they do crazy amount of fundraising, and that's enough for like almost the whole class, just one kid, right?
No, I think
Like,
sometimes the balance is, so sometimes, and I know you're not talking about the trips, but for those, right, what the kids fundraise, I think if you fundraise a lot, then a lot comes off the amount of the trip, right?
right.
But most of the fundraisers we do, whatever is fundraised, is shared by the team or the group. It's kind of equally,
Right.
you know. So they don't come out and say every kid's got to raise $50 or this is what. They don't ever come out and say that. I don't think, but I am going to check to make sure. But I don't
Yeah.
think that's an approach that we take.
Because like if you have like the little you can click to donate and I give you $20 and that's what my kid is going to do, but then Megan's kid is fundraising because he's like, oh my God, I've got to make sure that I got to pay for all of this, and then his money is now evenly distributed where I would have given you more. Like, do you see what I mean? I'm trying to.
I do. I just don't know if we set it up that way, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I have to find that out.
Well, and I would say that just to, again, talking about recognizing families have the different resources and all
Yeah.
of that, we don't really want to put a number out there because what one person can do and what somebody else can do is totally different. So we have to be careful in that regard. To
Absolutely.
recognize,
100%.
You know what I mean?
And for
so some people want to know, hey, you know, what is the equivalent that would
Right.
be our share? But I don't because we don't want anybody to ever feel like they have to do that. And I think that
Right.
that
Through
does
the
play
chair,
into it.
a club, like the head of a club may say, like, hey, I'd like you to try to sell 10 units, but if you don't get to it, it's fine. But like, that's my goal for you.
Right.
But it's not like a forced goal usually. It's
Right.
more
Well,
like
that's what I'm saying.
hey.
This wouldn't be a forced goal like you must pay this, but like kind of like a in hopes. We would love for all of our students to participate. We're looking to try to make at least $50 a kid for the buses or for the, you know what I mean? Like we know what it's going to cost, not the foreign language. That is a different ball of wax. That's not going, like I said, to Hanover or to Six Flags.
But they don't usually fundraise so for a lot of the field trips, they may charge like at the middle school, right? And we very often, we still have our helping our own fund. So very often, if we know a family can't afford it, then we have that fund that, some of the classes have contributed to that we can help out with that. But they don't necessarily, like if they're going to Six Flags, they don't necessarily have a fundraiser to go. They might say every child, it's going to cost $15 a student or whatever it is.
Yeah, like whatever
That
they
way.
like.
Yeah. But when I'm going to look into it. I'm going to ask, I think this would primarily be mostly at the high school. So I'm going to check with those folks there to see what kind of things we've done in the past that might kind of fall that way. Because I don't know off the top of my head.
And I'm not saying I don't want to discourage fundraising, because fundraising can be fun. You get out and you do the car wash and you do get everybody together, and it's community, and I love that. I just know that there are some people that are like, I work 2 jobs, I do this. How much money do you want? And they're just
Yeah.
Through the chair, we run this by these activities who usually do these fundraisers. I just wouldn't want to approve anything without knowing that, it's not going to impact them, because I do know how much fundraising can be beneficial for them as well. So I just want to make sure that they're on board with the changes. If that makes sense.
All the teams and all of them.
We're probably not going to be able to get to all the team. That would be a lot. But like, yeah, maybe like who, I don't know who does the majority of fundraising, like.
student council, sports.
But this just says sport. Is it just athletics or fine arts?
I thought that too, and that's why I asked. I've been reading it over.
It says Booster Club.
It's saying for this paragraph, I read exactly that. That's what I was going to ask, but then I've read it a couple times. But it's saying that the committee supports student involvement in the sale of tickets to scheduled athletic events, school dramatic and musical performances. So that paragraph is just about school athletics and fine arts.
I just don't know enough about these changes because I haven't been involved in a lot of the high school fundraising, and I don't want to approve something without knowing that those who will be directly impacted by this are okay with the changes, if that makes sense.
Okay, so I suspect that some folks will not be happy that they have to get their fundraisers approved. But what we found was happening is that, number one, we didn't even know in some cases that people were fundraising. And we didn't know that we needed a student activity account set up for something. And fundraising should be done for a purpose. We had some cases where they were doing these fundraisers and then saying, okay, what can we do with this money? So that's kind of a backward approach to fundraising. You're fundraising for a specific purpose. So there's a need for a team or a group, whatever that might be. And so this is going to change the process for them, and it's going to make it more of a process. But if you know that the place where some schools and people who work in schools get in trouble is student activity accounts, because so many different people are involved in the collecting of the funds and all those things. And when Mrs. Stanek came in, it was a bit of a mess, quite honestly. Things weren't like they needed to be. So this is all being tied to also significant training for if you are running something, if you're running a class or a fundraiser, what do you do with that money? How is it processed? How quickly does it have to be processed? How are we keeping track of it? What form do you use? What has to be in there? So this is all trying to tie this together. Many school districts have, they've worked out a fundraising calendar, right? So that football doesn't have 3 in the fall, and that's an exaggeration, obviously, right? But then there aren't any for, girls lacrosse didn't get anything, right? Because when they finally got to do theirs, they people were kind of burnt out with fundraisers because there was so much here. So it is also trying to build in some equity across the board so that we're not oversaturating the community, yet these groups are allowed to do what they need to do for the things that they've identified they need.
Yeah.
So it is going to be a change, without a doubt.
So I just will have to personally look into it a little bit more because I don't want to vote on something I don't know enough.
Oh, no, and I wasn't pushing a vote tonight.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that maybe we don't have to get to the third read, so maybe the next time
We can do some
we
research.
can have some more information.
One other question, just not really sure. School colors. So all team clothing required must be purchased in school colors. Is there a reason for that?
Unless otherwise approved by the athletic director or building principal.
Because it's team clothing.
This is
All team clothing.
So like jerseys and stuff.
schools.
Oh, for the jerseys.
Yeah.
It's not like if I'm selling a T-shirt. Okay, that makes more sense. Okay.
And they do have an exception. So, for instance, maybe in October they want to wear pink for breast cancer
Yeah,
awareness.
yeah.
They just need to have that approved by the athletic director because
Okay.
we want to support our teams and our school colors and our district colors. Just another
Thinking
comment
blue.
through the chair. Just note that the MASC policy, the last time this was updated in our policy was October of 2016. So I did go to the MASC policy, which was updated in 2021. So those are also reflected within this policy to bring us up to date.
So this
we
is
were-
an MASC policy through the chair?
a portion of most of this is, but we have
Okay.
also extended it because of the concerns that we had with what had been going on.
Okay.
And as the business manager, I need to be able to follow financial procedures and Mass General law and student activity accounts. So part of our audit, not this year, the year last summer, was our student activities procedures and manuals and what wasn't being followed. And part of the student activities procedure manual is these two school committee policies that
Okay.
needed to be updated.
But I can look at the MASC one. We could compare.
Of course.
Awesome. Thank you.
Through the chair, I have two questions / concerns based on my own experience. It does say here, like gambling. And I know, I don't know if staff know this, but last I checked, raffles is considered
Gambling.
gambling. And I believe you need to get like an okay from the town. So I'm wondering, just to be extra safe, if we should put in there that also like raffles as well, because a lot of people don't realize. And then when I've told my own colleagues, like, they're like, we're going to do a raffle. I'm like, no, you can't. You got to go to the town. You got to get approval. And like, there's a lot of rules.
You need a
behind it.
permit for
Yeah, you need a
it.
permit.
And everyone needs to have an equal chance of winning. So you'd have to give out a free ticket or something along
Yeah,
those
so
lines.
there's a lot of rules behind that. And the other one, and this, Jen, you might need to weigh in on this, but do we have a policy for how long, once cash is collected, that it needs to go in?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Because I'm wondering if we should also have that in here, that any cash collected, I didn't see it, but I could have missed it, that any cash collected needs to be in within like a 48-hour period, or like if an event is on a weekend, then it can be like 2 business days or something.
So all of that is included in the student activities
Okay,
policy.
all right, good.
And procedures manual. This is just strictly the
Fundraising,
fundraising.
okay. Good, okay, because that to
School
me
committee policy.
is like, seen people hold cash for like a year and a half. You can't, it's not good.
Well, and that was some of the things
why
that
we
had to get cleaned up.
Annual trainings and
Through the chair, I will say that, so I didn't think of raffles under gambling, but I will say that it was last spring. I think it was, I won't name a district, but it was a district out toward Boston, and for a senior night, they had just like Auburn Youth and Family, they have the gambling tables, like the roulette and.
Oh, no.
that- Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
And they had it on TV. I was flabbergasted. So when I saw this, that was immediately what I went to. Because they did. That was a big
many-
night for them.
Many moons
made
ago,
good
we used to have parents that would do raffles, and that they like I forget when it was, but we had a new superintendent come in. He's like, no more. And
Yeah.
we're like, really? And he's like, nope, you need a permit. We didn't even know.
So I have a question. Where does PTO fall in this?
It doesn't.
They're not.
So I know
Because-
that, but I mean,
Their own
they're
entity.
they'll let-
totally separate.
They are separate. And they kind of take care of their own money and all of that. However, so we're not going to be asking them to submit to us what they're doing for fundraising. However, I will say, and this is years ago, there is something in here about not, you can't reward kids for, right, for raising the most money
Yeah,
kind of thing.
the
And that-
jogathon
That's,
thing.
yeah, that's
The
something that,
magazine one where they can win.
Well, the jogathon class gets ice cream. Some
Yeah.
kids win a bike or something. There's
Yeah.
the biggest,
Yeah.
raisers. So I
You
was
can't regulate
wondering
that the PTO does that?
where that would fall
don't
into
think so.
place with this.
Some places do include the other organizations within their policy. We chose not to, and our PTO or the Athletic Booster Club, they are separate 501c
Yeah.
Right.
organizations. They have to follow their rules and regulations.
Because this lists the Booster Club. So are they part of us under our umbrella or like the 501c3?
where are you looking, Jesse?
Right in this paragraph here, it talks about Booster Club sports fundraisers must be approved by the athletic director.
And so that specifically for the Booster Club is because there's this idea of a lack of equity across teams, right? And I think the idea with this is really for us is to get a handle on what exactly is out there and going on for fundraisers and are things being spread equitably across teams. So that's the whole idea about that they don't do more for one. I mean, you might do more for a bigger team, obviously, but to try and get a handle on how this plays out across our teams.
Okay.
And through the chair, there is a big push in usage of online giving where you're not selling anything and you just push out a notice to families like, hey, we're having a fundraiser, and they just are donating online.
What is that called, Jen? There's
Snap fundraising. And we've been approached a lot by that company, and lots and lots of districts and lots of athletic teams are doing that. So in talking to the, athletic director, he's read through the policy and everything. We feel that it's only equitable and fair that we have an idea of who's doing what, so that one team doesn't raise $20,000 and one team doesn't get to raise anything because you just tapped all the community, and that team has $20,000 to use and the other team has nothing.
So we would allow SNAP or regulated or not allow it at
It
all?
would be regulated.
Regulated.
Everything would need to go through the approval of the athletic director, the principals, the superintendent.
Okay.
With the big fundraisers right now, like what teams? Is it like football or all of them?
It's football.
Football.
Yeah, they all do it. Like hockey had a couple last year though. Soccer always runs something.
Our clubs have, the clubs have also done.
Well, like the grade, each grade, because they're fundraising for all of
Yeah,
their
the class.
class
Yeah,
trips
yeah.
and all that. So they do a lot of that too. But if you thought about that, and if 3 of those groups were all doing a SNAP fundraiser, I could potentially be asked 3 times through those SNAP things to give money. Now, it's not the end of the world, and of course, I don't have to give, right?
Right.
But it also shouldn't be carte blanche to let everybody can do what they want when they want, So this isn't trying to stop it. We need it. We appreciate it. We appreciate the people that organize them and do them. But it really has been a little bit of the Wild West out there with people just doing their own thing. So this is the attempt to you should have a good idea of what all the fundraisers are going on in a district. We don't have a good outline of that right now.
So a lot of organizations and booster clubs will do like the calendar raffle. Now, if we're not going to allow raffles, that's a month long. In that calendar, there might be a giant barrel of wine. Like, are we prohibiting that? Like, where are we?
But that's the
We're not gonna,
boosters.
I was saying through the chair, that's, if you're saying the
Okay, I
booster,
see.
the
Yeah.
we don't have regulations over what they're doing in their 501c.
But I don't
So,
think a club should be offering a basket
Basket
of
of
wine.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
like the
kids-
Spanish club.
Yeah.
We don't need like
Alcohol sales and
yeah, that should be
whatnot is-
okay.
Now, can we add in here somewhere that this does not apply to 501c3? Because I can picture PTO reading this and being like, what the heck, you know? Somewhere just a disclaimer like this does not include,
And
although it
prohibited
mentions
items to be
Booster
raffled
Club.
would probably be helpful.
I think it just it's asking the booster club to
be scratched.
get approval, just to say like, hey, we're doing this. It's not saying we can't. It's just saying
So if we add that, then the Athletic Booster Club is a 501c3. So if we said this isn't going to include those, then it'll go back to, we don't know what these athletic teams are doing.
But I think there's a balance. I think we have to go and rework this, and I get that point. But I think to say that just the idea of what are you fundraising for and who you're fundraising, we can ask for that, but we're not telling them what they can do for the fundraiser. Do you know what I'm saying? I think we have to tease that out a little bit. So we got to go back to the drawing board a little bit with some of that.
but do have what they can't do, I guess.
Yeah.
Because everyone likes wine and I would raffle and enter any raffle for wine. So,
Money.
okay. And we have another one. Do you want to, oh, we're not passing anything, or no?
No.
Tonight,
Nope.
anything.
First reading.
Yeah.
Okay.
through the chair, I just want to say that I really like on the second page, third paragraph down, that should the class not request to have their funds removed from the student activity checking account within 1 year, the funds will be forfeited by the class to the Helping Our Own Fund. I think that's a great way to handle like the money that's just sitting there. Because I think that allows us to help students that might need it. So I think that'll be very much like, it's not going anywhere else other than helping other kids to get what they need. So I like that.
And through the
We did
chair,
that
just
for the
so
nursing
everybody is aware, everything in black was the policy that already existed.
Yep.
The red is only the changes. And again, this was something that MASC updated in 2021, and we had not added those to our policy.
Super fun
Super fun.
raising.
No pun intended.
I think this one's fun.
Yeah, the 2-pager I was
Two
there.
pager, I
Okay.
don't have an issue at all.
All right, so no questions or comments on the student activity accounts?
So we'll have that on the next agenda for a second read.
Yep.
Okay. Are we done with, we beat that to death?
That's it. I
Okay.
think we beat it enough.
Mr. Keller, it's your turn now.
All right.
PowerPoint time.
Well, you have it in front of you. The mouse is funky, so I'm glad I printed it. So I'm just gonna jump into the printed copy. I'm sorry, it's not colorful. I was trying to save money by doing black and white. So I'll start with a couple highlights from summer. As I've mentioned to you before, summer, and as you certainly know, Samantha, summer gives the opportunity for teachers to slow things down, rest and reflect, and prepare some curriculum. So I want to talk to you about some curriculum projects that our teachers did, but also I want to start with our Title I Summer Academic Camp. So that ran for 4 weeks this year. We made a slight change because we had a little less Title I funding. So in the past, we've gone 4 days out of the week. This year, we did 3 days. And I'll show you a survey at the end where we asked parents how they felt about that. And so it ran from July 15th to August 7th. The coordinator this year was Jillian Anderson, who many of you know as a teacher at Bryn Mawr. Last year it was Jill Clough, and I just want to say we're always looking for opportunities to give teachers leadership experiences, and so this has been a really nice addition to what we're able to offer. As I think you know, Jill Clough is an assistant principal. Not saying that the Title I summer camp coordinator position vaulted her into that position, but it's good for people to have that experience. And I will say that Jillian did an amazing job as the coordinator communicating. So there's a couple highlights in here that we included. So just so you know, Title I is federal funding that we get to help close achievement gaps in our schools, and we get that funding for our grades K through 5. So you'll see the pictures in here of kids throughout grades K through 5 where we're doing academic work, but also in a hands-on fashion, having opportunities to interact with numbers, words, vocabulary, literature, etc., in a fun, relaxed environment and in a small class size. This program runs beside the ESY program that's run by Mr. Walton, and Carrie Cox took over kind of the latter part of that. So 2 great offerings that we offer to our students over the course of the summer. That one, the ESY program is obviously for students in special education. This is for students who have been identified as needing some additional support. The other piece of this that you'll see in here is pictures. We also have funding from the state on our English learners, and so we were able to offer a program for our English learners this year, K through 8 actually. And so you can see some pictures in there where our EL tutors worked to have students have conversations and work through, there's some baking that they did. I was able to sample some of the treats that they prepared. And it's constantly engaging in conversation, getting out and interacting with other students. So, all in all, a really positive program. I'm going to hold off on the last 2 slides and just jump to the color piece of paper that I gave to you. This is a survey that we gave to parents afterwards. And you can take a look at that. I won't go through everything, but the first page of this is kind of demographics. So what grades the students are in. The last question on there is which schedule would you prefer for next summer? And the majority of people talked about liking the 3-day schedule and being Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I believe it was one person, or maybe it might have been 2. My percentages might be off, but who preferred the 4 days. So there was a general feeling that they liked the 3-day schedule this year. On the back side of that was effective communication from program staff. By and large, people gave that a 5, which was the highest rating on there. Were you provided with adequate information about the program? Again, by and large, people felt very strongly about that. Questions and concerns addressed in a timely manner. Everybody said yes, and the one person who didn't say yes said that they didn't have any questions. And then how satisfied were you with your child's overall summer school experience? Again, extremely positive in that regard, where 12 out of 13 respondents felt that it was a 5 on a 5-point scale. And then we had 2 questions that followed. What suggestions do you have for improving? And you could take a look at those, but there was, by and large, everybody had really positive things to say. The one piece of feedback that Jillian and I talked about was, wanting some email communication from the classroom teacher, just a general note about what kids are working on. And then the last question we asked was, is there anything that you'd like to share? And there's comments about looking forward to having a sibling attend next year, and getting kids back into that kind of environment extremely beneficial. Reinforce what happened over the course of the school year. So I was really pleased with the feedback that we got, really pleased with the job that Jillian did in coordinating the program, and was able to see a lot of kids enjoying extending their school year, not walking in being upset about having to walk into school.
That's hard to accomplish. Summer, so
No question.
that's awesome.
So that was a Title I summer academic camp, and then the last thing I just wanted to talk to you about, as I started with, was about teacher curriculum projects. As you know, I talk a lot to you all over the course of the year about professional development that we offer through the course of the year. That is many times led by principals, grade level leaders, myself, talking about what things we want to pursue. A lot of that has been restorative justice, UDL, cultural competency. The summer gives an opportunity for teachers to apply to get certain number of hours to work together, either in small groups or with a teaching partner, to pursue different things. So we had 94 teachers educators, because it wasn't just all teachers, working on a variety of curriculum projects. Again, I won't read through everything that's on here, but a lot of it was focused on our new iReady program that's been implemented K through 8, and I'll talk about that at a future meeting. Empowering writers has been a big focus, K to 8, as you certainly well know. We had a lot of teachers working on that and integrating that with science, social studies, and even math. And then UDL continues to be at the forefront of what we're offering. So we had a lot of teachers working on UDL practices, our health and wellness standards, and implementing those. And so it was great. I was able to go through all those projects, as part of that process is having to submit their final projects, and be able to really kind of hit the ground running on day one. And so the teachers did a great job, and I'm pleased to be able to support this program.
Awesome. How many teachers?
94.
94. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's great.
So through the chair, we're going to have new projects about like rainwater and like the whole
Oh, yes.
thing.
Yeah,
I'm,
no
I'm
question.
ready.
Yes.
Those are my favorite when they come in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you. As I always say, thank you to the staff. Well, all those involved over the summer to make all this happen. So it's
A lot of good work.
really a heavy lift and we appreciate it. So great. All right. Thank you. We'll move on to Mrs. Stanek for the business financial report.
All right, so in your packet, I provided you with the omnibus transfers that were from July 18th and July 22nd for your information, as agreed last May, which was done for the purpose of closing out the fiscal year 2025. And then also you have the 3 separate memos that were sent to town accountant CFO Karen Harnois regarding the closing of the FY25 budget and the various articles or school department articles, the carry forward request, as well as the previous year articles, and those had been all approved for carryover for us. As well.
Yes, I was very excited to see there's a tick treatment done at every school. That's something like you don't
It is
think of.
and
So,
it's organic.
oh, good. Good. It caught my eye.
And then, as is customary each year, I've provided you with the school department revolving gift and student activities accounts. It was updated on August 20th. This is for your acceptance and approval for the FY26 school year.
Okay. Seek a motion to approve those.
I'll make a motion to approve the FY 26 fiscal year, the list of revolving gift and student activities accounts as presented by the business manager.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
And then you now have a year-to-date budget report for the FY26 school year. Obviously, this is just started, and I do not have any budget transfers, as we are still busy hiring and moving salaries and those things. Next time I will have, budget transfers for your approval. And next time we're gonna talk a little bit about, my reports and, well, those will be some exciting changes.
Ooh, pretty pictures and things.
Come with it.
A high bar.
Yeah, right? And then we get to you and it's like, rah, rah.
We would like a PowerPoint. Exactly.
No,
Oh, I can't
no, we
wait.
do not
Poor
want
Alan.
PowerPoint. Through the chair, she's speaking for herself.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing those changes.
For next time. And then last piece is I've provided you the proposed school department articles for the fall special town meeting, which is scheduled for October 28th, 2025 at 6 p.m. at Auburn High School. These warrant articles have been included for your review and approval, as they will need to be sent to the town on or before September 12th. So as discussed a little bit earlier, Swanson Road project, we are looking to repurpose $150,000 from Swanson Road building rehab for air quality improvements. That was part, we'll be able to repurpose that because Mr. Fahey is working with the town and all of the ARPA funds and the Greens community, so he will not need those funding. And then the other piece is to repurpose $25,000 for Auburn High School, because we have had some roof and drainage issues at the front portico, and the pricing for the parking lot resurfacing, we will not need to use all of the funds for that.
Awesome.
And then also included is just the fiscal year 2022 and the fiscal year 2024, the capital improvement project, so you can see where we would be repurposing those funds.
Okay, any questions for Ms. Stanek? Sam, you good?
Everything is basically working out just about even through the chair. Sorry.
Meeting up.
Like, so I'm just, my eyes are going a little cross-eyed. We're on our 5th page. But it looks like everything, I mean, we're just a few thousand off from, like, so like the school total over here in 22 is 917, but then over here it's 845.
Those are two different fiscal years.
Okay, so this is,
The total for the capital cannot change because those have already been voted on through
okay.
town meetings.
So this is the total for this is the total, okay.
Correct.
So we have less money.
Each year is a little bit different.
Each year.
We
Okay.
don't get the same exact amount each year for capital improvement.
Okay.
It's always kind of in this ballpark, 800, 900, sometimes a little over 1,000, depending upon what the need is. But from year to year, it's usually different
Okay,
to some degree.
okay.
And what we've tried to do as well, fortunately, we've been able to do it this year, is when money has already been approved and designated for a certain school. So we had the $150,000 for HVAC at Swanson. What the town appreciates is when you can repurpose money for the same building. So it's
Okay.
not going to it like from Swiss to Bryn Mawr or something like that.
Got it.
And likewise, the money at the high school that was there for parking, we're going to be able to use to fix the drainage on the front portico. So,
Okay. Okay, that makes a little more sense because I'm sitting here
Yeah.
going, I'm like, okay, this is like, wait a minute.
yeah, every year is a little different.
Yep.
Every year is a little different.
Question, the kitchen upgrades at Bryn Mawr, were we able to use some of the excess money from, the food department, or was that CIP money?
No, that
was-
anything that happens in the food department is funded by food department
Okay,
money.
all right, good.
So she has more than enough money to
Yeah,
do that.
definitely.
So all the new equipment, she's been upgrading things. They're putting in, yeah, and my understanding is next year they're going to look at the other half of the kitchen, like where the cabinets are.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it all at once, but it's, you know how it is when you do work in your house and one thing looks nice and shiny and then the other part looks a little shabby. But no, none of that comes out of our CIP or our budget. It all comes out of the money, the food service money.
That's awesome.
So she's done some great improvements around, the district with that.
I do need to ask for your approval of the warrant articles.
I'll make a motion to approve the school department warrant articles for the October 28th, 2025 fall meeting as presented by the business manager.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's a vote. And we do not need executive session,
You do not?
so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's a vote. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.